Ugandans residing in the United Kingdom, many of whom fled their homeland due to unbearable injustices, staged a significant protest outside the European Union offices today. These individuals, whose voices represent millions suffering under the weight of dictatorship, carried a powerful message to the European Union officials. They called upon them to halt their financial support of Uganda's long-standing autocrat, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who seized power in 1986 and has since clung to it with an iron grip. The protesters that subscribed to the National Unity Platform, led by Bobby Wine, pointed to a regime that thrives on systematic oppression, rampant corruption, and unrelenting human rights abuses, perpetuated largely through funding from international donors, including the European Union. Uganda's diaspora, who have witnessed the deteriorating situation in their home country from afar, accused the European Union of being complicit in Museveni's sustained rule. While the EU portrays itself as a defender of human rights and democracy globally, its financial aid to Uganda has enabled a regime that suppresses dissent, orchestrates violence, and plunges the country deeper into despair. The protesters argued that the money meant for development, healthcare, and education in Uganda has been deliberately misappropriated by the Museveni regime, empowering it to buy tools of mass destruction like machine guns, tear gas vans that are used to crash dissenting voices, pay off informants, and maintain an extensive network of loyalists and lobbyists who ensure his continued grip on power. The Museveni personally reportedly spends a staggering 2.8 billion Ugandan shillings daily, all while ordinary citizens suffer from widespread poverty, unemployment, and lack of basic services. The European Union, a political and economic union consisting of 27 European countries such as France, Germany, Italy, and Spain, plays a significant role in global diplomacy and development aid. Established to promote peace, stability, and economic cooperation, the EU is one of the largest foreign aid donors in the world. Over the years, it has provided substantial financial assistance to Uganda under Museveni regime, ostensibly to promote development and improve living standards. However, Ugandans argue that this aid has been hijacked by Museveni's government, fueling the very oppression the EU claims to oppose. Protesters carried placards exposing Museveni's numerous failings with strong messages aimed at the international community. They highlighted scandals involving millions of dollars lost to corruption under his regime. In Museveni's Uganda, corruption is not merely tolerated, but institutionalized. High-ranking officials implicated in major financial scandals are rarely punished. Instead, they are often rewarded with promotions or transferred to other lucrative positions within the government. Uganda currently loses $2.7 billion to corruption. The protesters emphasize that these funds could have been used to build hospitals, improve education, or create job opportunities for Uganda's struggling population, but instead they have been squandered to enrich a small elite close to dictator Museveni.
EU, the countries in EU, keep training and funding. They arm the dictator. They give him guns. They provide the grenades. They provide the tear gas. France provides the tear gas. The bullets that kill Ugandans are from Germany. The guns that kill us are from UK. The training of the soldiers who kill us go to Sandhurst. Can you stop this, EU? We've suffered enough. Stop it. We are not begging money. We are not begging human resource. We are not begging for financial resource. We are well equipped. We have the resources. We have the human resource. The best intervention you could do for us, stop funding the dictator. We can take him on, and we can take him on further and well. The intervention I tell you today, EU, stop arming the dictator. Stop providing the guns. Stop equipping him. Stop doing whatever you think. It doubles silly when you give money and earmark it for hospitals, only to end up with a lot of guns, only to end up our sisters and brothers being...
Beyond corruption, the protesters also shed light on the massacres that have defined Museveni's rule. Innocent civilians, particularly opposition supporters, have been targeted in brutal crackdowns. From the infamous killings in Kasese, Mukura, Kanungu, Bundibujo, Kabaka riots, where hundreds were massacred, to the recent violent suppression of protests following the arrest of opposition leaders like Bobi Wine, Museveni's regime has consistently shown its willingness to use extreme violence to silence dissent. The placards carried by the protesters bore the names and faces of many victims who lost their lives to state-sponsored violence. The issue of abductions featured prominently in the demonstration. Ugandans who dare to speak out against the government often face the horrifying reality of forced disappearances. Many are abducted by state agents, tortured in secret detention facilities, and either killed or abandoned with life-altering injuries. Families of these victims rarely get justice, as the regime continues to operate with impunity. The protesters wanted the world to know that every handshake between European officials and Museveni legitimizes these atrocities. One placard boldly read, "When you shake Museveni's hand, you fund abductions, massacres, and corruption in Uganda." The protest attracted significant attention from bystanders and officials, many of whom were unaware of the dire situation in Uganda. Passers-by stopped to read the placards and engage with the protesters, expressing shock and disbelief at the stories being told. The Ugandans explained with passion and determination that their fight is not only against Museveni, but also against the international complicity that sustains the Museveni regime. They argued that the European Union's failure to condemn Museveni's actions, while continuing to fund his government, makes it a partner in crime. The love for their country was evident in the protesters' passionate chants and unwavering commitment to the cause. They emphasized that they had not left Uganda out of choice, but out of necessity. The unemployment, tribalism, sectarianism, and pervasive insecurity under Museveni had made it impossible for them to build meaningful lives at home.
We want to return to our home country, and our home country is Uganda. Uganda is such a beautiful country. We don't want to stay here in winter. We love our country. We can't go back to Uganda because the dictator in Uganda for 40 years has made it horrible for us.
Yet despite the distance, their hearts remain with their homeland, and they continue to advocate for a better future for those who cannot speak out. The protesters carried with them a powerful message for the European Union. Stop funding oppression. They urged the EU to redirect its aid directly to the Ugandan people, bypassing Museveni's government. They suggested supporting grassroots organizations, independent civil society groups, and other entities that work to uplift ordinary Ugandans, rather than propping up a regime that has failed its citizens. For close to 4 decades, Museveni has clung to power, using the tools of fear and coercion. His government has silenced opposition voices, manipulated elections, and turned state institutions into instruments of oppression. Yet the international community, including the European Union, has largely turned a blind eye to these abuses, choosing instead to prioritize stability over justice. The protesters made it clear that this must change. They called on the European Union to align its actions with its stated values of promoting democracy and human rights. They demanded an end to the cycle of complicity that has allowed Museveni to maintain his grip on power, while millions of Ugandans suffer. As the demonstration came to an end, the Ugandan diaspora vowed to continue their advocacy. They left behind a powerful reminder of the strength of their resolve and the urgency of their message. The question now is whether the European Union will heed their calls for justice or continue to prioritize convenience over accountability. For the people of Uganda, the stakes could not be higher. Each day of Museveni's rule represents another day of suffering for millions, and the protesters made it clear that they will not stop until their cries for change are heard. Thank you for tuning in to the JB Mwangi podcast. If you found this video informative and valuable, we'd be grateful if you'd consider subscribing to our channel. This is the official home of the JB Mwangi podcast, where we bring you crucial stories and insights from Uganda and beyond. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's discussion. Please share your perspective in the comments section below. Your voice matters in this ongoing conversation about freedom and justice. If you believe others could benefit from this information, don't hesitate to share this video with your friends and family. By spreading awareness, you're playing a vital role in shining a light on these important issues. Thank you for your support and for being part of our community. Until next time, Stay informed, stay engaged, and have a great day.